Lecture topic: Advices to final year students.
One is there's certain circumstances now, obviously it's something beyond somebody's control. And it's beyond his control, it's beyond his control. Previously, there was a standard tarbiyyah. The person after the Faril, it was like, as they call it, the housemanship. Zarur koi na koi khanqa mein, somewhere you are going to spend some time in the khidmat of somebody, and only then get into some kind of formal khidmat. Then with time, the tartib became that only in Jamaat when you would go and spend some time in the khidmat of somebody also. Alhamdulillah, that also played a very big role, and still plays a very big role. Those provided that time is spent correctly, that time is spent in a manner that's meant to be spent. But फिर कभी इसका बरअक्स भी होता है. There have been some very, very sad reports sometimes how the time was spent, the outcome. So obviously that doesn't serve any purpose. In fact, that becomes counterproductive. Opposite effect comes. Generally, unfortunately, very unfortunately, it's like quite well known in some of the Marathis, South Africans, Fariheen, इनकी तरतीब ही अलग है, इल्ला माशाअल्लाह. खाना पीना घूमना ये बहुत मुज़िर चीज़ है. There's another half. One person from Canada was one time spending time in India. And he's an engineer by profession, and he was like about 5-6 years into Islam only. Whatever he was before that, of Indian descent, but he was born there. I had met him once when I went to Canada, so that's how I knew him. And Ibrahim Bauda was in Simovic, Sun and Sands. He stayed in Canada for quite a few years. He was his co-student. That's how I got to meet him at Canada. So once when he went to India in Jamaat, he spent about 4 months or whatever. I don't know how long he spent. Now he's coming from that background, only about 6 years into Islam, and coming with this jazba. I probably got that line somewhere too. He wrote a whole 2 pages about what he experienced about the sad state of affairs in terms of some of the South African Fariheen that were spending time there. Now he had a person with that background, coming new to Islam, engineer, coming there, some jazba. Now he makes like a culture shock for him. Obviously, that is a very, very dangerous and very, very harmful thing for oneself. But the time is spent properly, obviously, there's a lot to do, tremendously a lot. So, in any case, the main thing is that all these things are necessary. Before getting into any khidmat formally, ideally is that sometimes should be spent in all this. That is the ideal. Sometimes you spend the correct manner, how the time is meant to be spent. Then a lot is there to be achieved. But Shaki Waqt Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi used to often mention that Thamir Rahmatullah Alayhi used to mention, bring an alim who is Sohbat yafta and somebody who is not Sohbat yafta, but don't tell me who's who. And he says within 1-2 days I will tell you who's who. Somebody who spent some time in the proper manner in the khidmat of somebody who he had munasabat with, whatever, and he took the benefit, and somebody who didn't. I don't know both from anywhere. I don't have any idea who this person is or that person is. But just leave them with me 1 day too, and I will point out who's who. So there's something to be taken there. That's how we can just discern so quickly. Whereas when a person knows now, he's under scrutiny, he can try to put up a appearance of something. But despite that, I'll make it out immediately. So there's something that's going to be achieved which shows its difference. Shows its difference in not just the khidmat of a person, but how he conducts himself in minor things, day-to-day issues, day-to-day necessities. It shows in all those things. The point is that this is something vitally important, not something that's just a mustahab level. To say lazim hai. One is now a person, mashallah, got the time to manage to do that. That's ideal. It should be done as far as possible. Spend some formal time, both in Jamaat and in the khidmat of somebody who he's got the munasabat with. That's not immediately possible. Then to whatever extent something has to be fitted in somewhere. Somewhere it has to be somehow. Somebody is now annual leave will come or something. Spend some time. Surround the company of whoever he has the munasabat with. Spend some time, whatever his guidance might be, however he might direct. Spend some time in Jamaat and the correct tertib. There is a lot to be achieved. It obviously won't compensate for how it should be done in a dedicated manner for a consistent period of time. Because something a person does piecemeal doesn't bring the same benefit as something done in a consistent manner for a period of time. It is a different. A person goes to hospital, but he goes one day today, he needs treatment. He stays one day in hospital, then he's back out. So the treatment is required now. He'll come back next week for one day. I told him, you need 5 days in hospital, but he spends those 5 days over 5 weeks. He'll benefit. It's not like being in that hospital for 5 days one time. 5 days one time, he might come out very fit. Possibly, inshallah, he'll come out very fit. Yeah, after that 5 weeks also, he'll still be limping. Benefit, definitely. It won't be the same. So, for example, if it's possible now, somebody doesn't have the long-term opportunity. So, Ramzan, some portion, maybe somebody at take off, they can still just put it in somewhere. So, zarur iska koshis iski honi chahiye. We spend that time, but in a proper manner, dedicated manner. What though, before you know it, the time is gone. Time doesn't wait for anybody. To take the benefit of that time. So this is an extremely important thing. This is what, as this morning we were discussing in class also, all our Kabir went through this. Nobody is an exception. Nobody can point one person who was an exception to this system, who did it some other way. And this is what brought about whatever that personal improvement was, and also the passion for that khidmat. Call it passion, call it that jazba, that enthusiasm, whatever, but that's what it is, all this. So that Goi Rahmatullah alayhi, that incident perhaps was discussed sometime, Allah, I can't remember. He was imprisoned by the British, and almost 6 months he was under that very harsh prison conditions. Extremely difficult, very harsh. And in that time he transformed the whole cell into a madrasa under the charge of treason, because of the effort that was being made at that time to overthrow the British government. So now he was imprisoned and he transformed that cell into a madrasa. Eventually, after about 6 months, now the prison conditions of India at that time, there was no concern about whether the person is treated or not, even forget ill-treated, whether he's treated as an animal or whatever, it doesn't matter. Now, after 6 months of this kind of conditions, finally the charges were dropped. They couldn't find anything to really make it stand in court, so now they had no option but to drop the charges. The charges were dropped. That message came through to the prison eventually, that the charges had been dropped against him. So it means now that any time now it's a matter of 1 2 days, whatever the formalities would be, he will be released and he will be sent home. So one prisoner who was there in that cell with him, he started crying. Everybody else was happy for him, but now alhamdulillah he'll be released. So So now first maybe somebody thought he's crying out of happiness for him, or sadness for himself, but it was sadness for himself on a different note. I asked him that, why are you crying? He said, for the first time in my life, I started learning Quran Sharif now. All my life, I never did this. Muslim, but never learned Quran Sharif in his life. He said, now I'm here on a long-term sentence. I'm still going to be here for, I don't know whether I'll come out alive. The first time in my life, I'm learning Quran Sharif. And you're going to be released now. And today's time you'll be gone. So you'll be gone. This is it now. Nobody else here to teach me. So I'm going to never get the chance to complete. I thought for the first time now I'm learning, inshallah I'll complete. Take my nazara, complete, khatam. So that now is, that's what I'm crying about. When he heard this, I said to him that you don't need to worry about anything. As long as your khatam is not made, I'm not going. And he remained there. Though the release order had come there, that he can go. But he remained there till this person completed whatever time he might have given him extra time, helped him to get the pick or whatever, but waited and taught him till he finally made his khatam, then he left. Or he remained in prison, under prison conditions. Not just some kind of VIP prisoner, being treated in the worst of ways. But this was that passion for deen. Muhammad Rahmatullah alayhi, many times when the British had imprisoned him, but not. Once there was a case against him. So he came with his kafan to court. Because now the charges were quite serious. They thought now maybe they can intimidate him with that. He came with his kafan to court. So my life will go when it's time to go, but there's nothing that's going to move me out of this. This effort that I have to do, I will carry on. Now where that passion came from? All without exception, that passion was something that was transferred from that system that they attach themselves to. This is where everything then starts making a difference in the person's own personal life, in his deeni khidmat, in everything. Otherwise it's a very difficult road. Very difficult road. And without somebody's guidance, without somebody's direct supervision, nafs and shaitan are forever just trying to derail us anywhere and everywhere. That is the very crucial thing. So obviously one is that the person now manages to spend that dedicated time, that's the ideal. For a period of time, that's the ideal. Otherwise, the least is that there must be a very close and constant rub to somebody on a very regular basis. One is by correspondence, and then from time to time going to spend some time physically, being there present, making the benefit. But Tabi Rahmatullah alayhi used to express it also that the Sohbat is, used to say it's farz. Because without that, meaning it's not farz in the istilahi sense, but in the, like we say, mutala is farz before coming to class. Many, mashallah, fulfill that farz also. She said, pushte mutala kiya, ye kiya. इसका मतलब था कि सॉरी मैं सेल्फ मताला किया. अच्छा हुआ पहले से बताया नहीं आप लोगों को, अभी खत्म हो गया, तो इस पर अमल करने लगते हैं. So that mutala obviously that doesn't help. So likewise, but now that is called farz, it's not a istilahi farz. Mutala is farz in a certain context. Likewise, the situation that we are in, without the sohbat, it's very difficult to even, let alone be now. We are obviously nobody, but an alim in the community is on the position of a Muslim. Whether he likes it or not, he has to make wa'az and irshad and keep guiding people and keep advising them. So he is already, whether anybody has officially told him something or not, he is in the position of a Muslim. But without this strong rabt, मुस्लिह तो क्या सालिह रहना भी मुश्किल है. मुस्लिह तो दूर की बात, सालिह रहना भी मुश्किल है. So the challenges are very, very great out there. That's what was read out this morning. बस यही सारे मसाइल है. Challenges are very great, and there's a fear of getting bogged every now and then. If a person has got a strong link with somebody with a tow truck, बड़ी आसानी से जल्दी निकलने की सूरत पैदा हो जाती है. But if there's no contact with the tow truck, it keeps spinning there and gets more deeper. So therefore, this is the way forward. Al-Thani Rahmatullah alayhi, what was mentioning is, what he used to say is that Sohbat is farz. But the badal of it, if that's not possible because of the distance, because of other reasons, whatever, then it is the writings of the Mashayikh, the writings of the Ahlullah, their kitabs, to make that a juz-e lazim of a person's mutala. And Pious Mani Sahab का बरकातुम से मलफूज, यानी आप लोगों से सुनाया था ना जी, that in this zamana मैं कसम खाता हूँ to get the correct understanding of deen, थानवी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह के मवाइज़ और मलफूजात पढ़ करके जो हासिल होगा कहीं और नहीं मिलेगा. That correct mafhum, obviously the sources are the same, Quran and Sunnah, but the correct understanding of it is through this explanation. And get the correct spirit of it. वरना तावीलात का तो जैसे बार बार अभी करीब में कोई वाक़या हुआ कहीं, बिल्कुल मतलब चंद दिन पहले की बात है, किसी ने स्कूल की बात भी पूछी थी, पता नहीं किसने पूछी थी, लेकिन so this happened in one school now very recently. So there was some tarbiyyah program. तो नाम तो हर जगह पर बड़े माशाल्लाह ज़बरदस्त उन्वानात होते हैं, tarbiyyah program, tarbiyyah, so the boys and the girls were somewhere. But in that process, one Alim Sahib was now going to be his talk there to the girls section. So some people who were in the school, they didn't know about this. This is also going to be part of it. So they quickly went there and they erected some screens. Boy Sahib ne aakar ke सब हटा दिया, all my daughters there. तो अब ये तावीलात का दरवाज़ा, अब खुदा जाने किसी तावील का भी कोई नाम भी उस पर आएगा या नहीं, खुदा जाने कौन सी तावील कहाँ से. अभी तावील बिल्कुल शायद 2 हफ्ते में नहीं हुए. This is the way, unfortunately, things are happening out there. So it's very easy to get sucked up into this kind of things. If a person is not strongly attached somewhere, the way things are expressed and how it repeatedly hearing those kind of things, this is what the meaning of this. But to get the sahih mafhum without this in the zamana is like impossible. And because everybody got their own mafhum. All are giving it in their own style. And get it in the correct, protected manner, and the manner that's really truly encompassing the essence of it. Without this, is very difficult. Because of there's such a mixture out there, such a confusion out there. You have to get this clear, straight line, the way it is. And that doesn't come from reading one waz or one woman who's after 20, 30 mawaiz, you get a broad picture of things. All this is ilhami. It's not humanly possible to, under normal circumstances, to be producing that. All ilhami. And sometimes People used to ask us, Rahmatullah, लोग कहते आप मुजद्दिद है. So sometimes Allah Ta'ala makes this kind of thing be said. हमें भी कभी ख्याल होता है. That was the reality. The signs of a mujaddid, we all clear, apparent. Kind of every department of deen, he made some kind of khidmat in it. There was nothing that he didn't write on, that he didn't. And just clear up all the cobwebs, whatever all the adulteration had come in, whatever all the bilkul saaf kar diya. Now in the zamana, when a person reaches to all that, he'll appreciate what's going on and how to stay clear of it. It's like as if he had been keeping this zamana in front of him also. Allah Ta'ala had opened that out, it seemed like that, Wallahu Alam. Not necessarily that he could see this zamana, but reading those things, it appears that all this was in front of him. So that too should be a part of. अब तो कोई कहते हैं ये तो बड़ी अजीब उर्दू है, पता नहीं. Well, Urdu is a little bit of the, somebody not too familiar with Urdu is not so easy, but it's not difficult either. This requires going through 1, 2 or 5. बहुत आसान है. लेकिन अब उर्दू को भी लोग सलाम कह रहे हैं. या पता नहीं बगैर सलाम ही भेज रहे हैं. So that should be part of Mutala. Some amount, take daily 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to make that a mamul. So that's Tashkilul Mawaiz, which is a compilation of selection of Mawaiz, and that has been called Tashkilul Mawaiz because it has been simplified. A lot of things are Nahasha, some tashkil of it too, some meanings of words and so on. उसी को आदमी पढ़ ले बहुत कुछ है. The correct zauq, this is the thing. Often the Sohbat of the Akabir, we go to attain ilm, whereas that's not the maqsad of going to the khidmat. Not that ilm won't be attained there. That's not the maqsad. Because if that's the maqsad, then a person will not focus on what the maqsad is. Hakim Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi used to very often say this. In the midst of a bayan, in the middle of nowhere, whether it was because he said something or not, and he had a unique style of how he used to address the gathering, and it was something totally different. In the middle of the, sometimes the mazmoon is, मेरे तकरीर में इल्म में इजाफा के लिए मत आया करो. A very strong manner. In the middle of some mazmoon, just halfway through some sentence, you just out of the blue, मेरे यहाँ तकरीर में इल्म में इजाफा करने के लिए मत आया करो. So then what must come for them? The thing to attain in the khidmat of the Akabir and in the Sohbat is, the thing that if a person has achieved this, then he's achieved everything. Because you can't, if a person goes for ilm, in 10 days how much ilm is going to take? He'll take, but how much? 6 साल में भी कितना मिला? तो 10 दिन में क्या मिलेगा? मिलेगा, लेकिन how much? And somebody went for some maybe new things, कुछ नई बात सुनेंगे. तो नई बातें भी कितनी होगी? 10, 20, 50, 100 और कितना? वो भी अगर इतना आ जाए. The thing to acquire in their company is their zauq. अब zauq का तर्जुमा ही मुश्किल है. Somebody asks you to define taste. How do you define taste? You type taste, you taste. Taste का कोई definition क्या होगा? And words can be probably somehow defined, but you can't explain taste. Taste is something to be tasted. Then you know what taste means. If a person, for example, has been, from the time he was a child, he's only been eating one thing, it was completely bland, no flavor in it, nothing. That's what he grew up on. I try to explain to him taste. There's something called sour, something called sweet, something called hot, and something spicy. And oh, kya samjhega bichara? You have to put in his mouth. तो फिर समझ आएगा बगैर कोई तशरीह के. Then you'll ask him, you know what's spicy? Glass of water. He'll say, no, I know what's spicy. Don't need to explain to him anything. So that zauq is something that can't be put in words. But a person who spends that time in that manner that he wants to attain that zauq, something they attain. Meaning how that spirit of how things are taken, how things are understood. It's not just a literal taking of things. There's a zauq that develops how a person takes things. Masalan, this morning, that incident of the Jarir radiallahu ta'ala, the company of Umar radiallahu ta'ala, that was something that response was prompted by a zauq. That response wasn't prompted by having the theory of something. The theory, मिल गया कि ad-deen al-nasiha, a theory आ गया. But it was that ad-deen al-nasiha had become a zauq, a khirkhahi का एक zauq पैदा हो गया. So now that becomes spontaneous. That reaction becomes spontaneous. The reaction is not now something that a person has to plan and think, and the right reaction becomes spontaneous. That becomes the effect of zauq. So now, in the Kabil khidmat, often people come, they will spend good time. But the maqsad wasn't focused on. So the person goes there, he goes, spends considerable time sometimes, but that zauq didn't come. So now once a person is out of there, things just go back to square one. So now that zauq is a thing to develop. Zauq of taqwa, zauq of ibadat, zauq of khidmat. And Shafi Sahib Rahmatullah alayhi, one day he had just jumped off the train in Deoband. At the time when he was in Deoband. When he jumped off the train, it was late at night, close to midnight. Winter night, and in this winter night, there was no lights. Very, very cold. Deoband cold is very severe. My brother used to sometimes talk about those days in Deoband. In the peak winter, used to have those primal stoves. They make their own tea, and there's no breakfast on the Odessa side. They make their own tea and so on. But now in the peak winter, the cold used to be so severe that if you just take that off the stove, you get cold. So now, whatever little bit something you're going to be eating, so you have your that one sip and put it back on the primal stove. That is an enamel mug, put it on the primal stove, and then you have your one two whatever lukbaz or something, and you sip it from there. Otherwise, in half a minute the thing is cold. So that kind of severe cold. So now he just jumped off the train. Now it's completely dark, very difficult to even see where you're walking, and the severe cold, late at night. Now in the darkness, he's hearing somebody shouting for a potter. Now the word that I don't know is used over to become derogatory now. So now he's shouting for a potter. So now when we already said it's derogatory, there's no point in repeating it. So he realized in that darkness, sense that somebody is there with his family, children, whoever, and he's really pareshan now because he's got all this woman with him and whatever else, and he's got all these goods, and he can't manage on his own. And now in this darkness, now there are no lights, the lights are off, power is out or whatever, and then the severe cold. So this person was like shouting potter, but in a very like a pareshan manner, somebody in total desperation. So he responded in the darkness and said, yes, I'm here. He's already Mufti of Darul Deoband. He wasn't some first year student or something. The Mufti of Darul Deoband, already in the Darul Iftar. There were some other senior Muftis around as well, but he was one of the Muftis of Darul Deoband. So he shouted back to answer, no, I'm here. Potter is here, Potter is here. So now that person, as soon as I said Potter, he started calling him, and all those trunks, whatever, started loading on his head. Pata nahi kisi ne dekha hai, nobody went to India or not. But one person carries sometimes 4 trunks on his head, I wonder whether this person is what he's made of. But and he walked faster than the person walking with nothing alongside him. So when I was gone to India at the time, and I was returning alone. So my luggage had been sick for a while, quite weak. And I had one that hand luggage and another bag, and I jumped off the train. I would walk to another end. So one person now came and said, "Can I help you?" In that time, that's the last thing to do, to give somebody your luggage. But in that moment, I didn't even think. And he started walking at his speed. I'm at my speed. I can't catch up with him. Now, the next part of it was that they called it super fast trains. Every few minutes the train comes, jump in half a minute's time at least, then come to the last point. By the time I got there, jumped in the train and gone. So in any case, the next one came after about another 5 minutes. So I jumped in and went. This person was waiting on the other side, standing there one side, waiting. So afterwards I told somebody, ये हुआ, ये बेचारे वहाँ इंतजार में थे, कि बस 1 लाख शुक्र करो कि ये होता है. Here in India, you give somebody your bag and you didn't even know where he went. So Bahraal, this person now, found for the potter, he just put everything on his head. He said, I never carried this kind of weight in my life. I was battling to even walk, and now this person from behind is giving me directions. I carry on walking straight. I'll tell you where to turn. So he carried on walking. Now this person is guiding him now, turn left, turn right. Going through the gullies now. Finally came to after he says, I was wondering whether I'll even manage to make it or I'm going to collapse just now. Eventually he came to the house, so he told him, okay, just wait here. I took the things off his head, started opening the door. Okay, just put the lights on inside, come to take his stuff and then give your money. So as this person went inside the house to go and put the lights on and whatever, he sneaked away and gone. Because if that person came now and the lights are there, you would have recognized him. And he would have been very embarrassed now that what he did. So he sneaked away, and that too, till nobody ever knew about this incident. One day, the Sahib was narrating this incident. He says that one day the mother was complaining now. They were still young boys at that time. The mother is complaining to the father. Sometimes I tell these people to go do something, go bring something and all that. They now, each one is passing for the other. Now he must go and he must go. They're shirking now, they're not doing it. He says when that came up, he says he called us all. They took for example Ibrat and telling this. Only that was the first time he exposed it to his children for the Ibrat. But now that reaction at that time, that reaction is the reaction of zauq. Otherwise, if somebody had to ask us Potter, he'd say, what do you think I look like? Hey, aunt, pata nahi phoot gayi hai, kya hua tumhara? So the zauq is this is the translation of that zauq, the reaction. That first reaction, spontaneous reaction. That spontaneous reaction speaks about the zauq. That expresses the zauq. Now this is just certain issues, but in all aspects of life, the zauq will speak. But now that zauq is something to be acquired. People used to previously, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi, he took his khidmat and spent so many years. I spent 3 years to learn ilm and 17 years to learn adab. 3 years to learn ilm, 17 years to learn adab. So what's the proportion? So I was learning adab for 17 years. What he was learning? Something he was learning. So ये सीखने की चीज़ है. Now this is one badal of it. Father rahmatullah alayhi, noise and malfuzat teaches this zauq. Now one just casual reading that doesn't achieve it. This is now over time, repeatedly a person is going through that, then he slowly will pick up that. और कोशिश करते करते भी एक आशार्य मिलेगा हमें, लेकिन वो भी बहुत कुछ है. अब तो क्या हासिल कर सकेंगे, लेकिन वो भी बहुत कुछ है. ये मसला है. Very famous incident of Hazrat Maulana Muzaffar Hussain Kandali Rahmatullah. He was coming back into Kandla and he was gone out somewhere. He was coming back. As he's coming back, one person is walking alongside. He's walking, got a lot of something on his head. So he offered, should I help you? ये भी एक चीज है, if that zauq is not there, forget offering, it is asked also, in the कोई तावील कम से कम कहेगा कि मुझे थोड़ा सा दर्द सर है, और वो तो दर्द सर जिंदगी भर रहता है. So one is being asked on a person whether he'll accept to do something. The other is to offer तो मुझ जैसे के लिए तो दूर की बात है. See somebody walking with something to offer, let me help you. एक तो कोई मशहूर शख्सियत हो तो सभी भाग जाएंगे, लेकिन कोई बेचारे अनजान आदमी, कोई जानता नहीं कौन है, कहाँ के है, क्या है, but to go and offer him. So this person, some Dehati kind of person, walking with this big bundle on his head, he offered, should I help you? He said, yeah, please. He was tired now, from where he's coming. So somebody is offering, give to him, put it on his head. Now they're walking together, they both together towards Kandla. So as they're going along now, Maulana is asking him, kaha ke ho, where are you from, and all that. Where are you going? I'm going to Kandla. कोई काम है वहाँ बहुत बड़ा बुजुर्ग है, उनसे मिलने जा रहा हूँ, मौलाना मुजफ्फर हुसैन साहब. बुजुर्ग तो नहीं, नमाज पढ़ लेते हैं. So now this person is getting upset about him. I have come from so far to meet one Buzurg. You talking about, you say, Buzurg to nahi namaz padh lete hai. Now they're becoming a small kind of argument. And now he's come with so much of aqidat, and you say he's not a Buzurg. But now he has no idea of who the person is walking alongside him. In any case, as they're coming closer now there are some town people that are working in the fields or whatever, so they notice now, they think, why is walking on this big bundle on his head, so they rush to come in. Arey, aapne ye kahan se diya? Now suddenly this person realized that I made a big blunder here, and it appears that this is the person I've come to see. So he started apologizing, saying, isme kya hai? Apne bhai ki madad karne mein isme kya masla hai? Now that reaction, that's zauq. The zauq created that reaction, spontaneous. Hazrat Sheikhul Hind Rahmatullah alayh, one person, alim, he came to visit him, had never seen him before, heard about him for what he is, lot of aqidah, lot of. So he came all the way, came to his house. It was summer, hot, very hot. So knocked on the door. Somebody opened the door. So he was resting on lungi and vest. So he said, I've come to meet Sheikhul Hind. Brought him inside, seated him, then quickly brought something cold for him to drink, hot summer's day. So he said, look, मेरे ज़्यादा वक्त नहीं है, Sheikhul Hind से मिलना है, तो आप फौरन इत्तिला कर लें. Probably was on his way elsewhere. In between now he wanted to just make mulaqat and ziyarat and go. So he came. So now he's telling the person now, hey, don't waste time now, that please, because now this khadim now is, I forget to even tell him why I came. So please tell him quickly. कोई बात मुलाकात हो जाएगी. He brought the cold, something to drink, water, whatever. As a hot day, those days there were no aircons and fans and all that, no electricity to start off with. So you have that hand fans. So now he took the hand fan and he started fanning him. Now he's come in this heat, he's fanning him. So now first this person waited 1-2 minutes and then he said, look, Jazakallah आपकी खिदमत हम, लेकिन मैं तो हज़रत शेखुल हिंद से मिलने आया हूँ, तो अब मेरा वक्त जा रहा है, अब ज़रा फौरन इत्तिला करें. Now when he called me, but now could see now some irritation coming. He said, Sheikhul Hind to koi nahi, Banna Mahmud Hassan hai. His name, Sheikhul Hind Rahmatullah alayhi, his name was Mahmud Hassan. Sheikhul Hind yahan koi nahi hai, lekin Banda Mahmud Hassan hai. Now the person got a shock that who I came to meet, I'm treating or I'm thinking this is the Khadim. He's the personality I came to meet. He is making my khidmat. So this was the zauq. Now this isn't just one angle of things. In terms of the deeni khidmat, in terms of the zauq ibadat, in terms of all these things, this was the aspect that you have to develop. So Mufti Usmani Sahib Barakatum has mentioned somewhere that once he had accompanied the Maulana Sultan Nuri Rahmatullah alayhi. This was the time when he was at the forefront of the effort to have the Qadianis declared a non-Muslim minority in Pakistan. Because the Qadianis were now on the rampage and they had permeated the government levels and so on. So now this was a very important thing to make it an official thing. The Qadianis are not Muslims. So they denied the finality of Nubuwwat. So it was a very big thing in Pakistan at that time. And in order to now get this going, he was traveling extensively throughout the country, giving bayan, morning here, afternoon there, Sunday, whole night and days going like that. On one journey, Pakistan accompanied him. So the one night, he was extremely tired. And when they got to some place where they were, so I was asking the host, small place there, a little small, some rural area also, some person was a local person, asking, now they meet in the night, very late in the night. The nearest masjid and so on, whatever, not far off from here, they are explaining to him where it is. So now Fajr time, now he's asking, now where's the masjid, so now how far will have to go, whatever. So he says that I was so tired from the whole days, he's saying that I fell asleep immediately. In the middle of the night, my eyes opened. Just whatever, some disturbance, whatever, my eyes opened. My eyes opened, I noticed he's not on his bed. So I got a concern first. Maybe, okay, fine, where he would be. Waiting a while, still no sign of him. So now that, whatever reason, I got extra concern. So I came out to go and look for him. So the masjid was just close by. I got there, he was in sajda. Now that whole night, a whole day, all that, but at night he was asking, ye raat ka mamla chut na jaye. And that was the strength of the day. But now in that halat also, that didn't get left for anything. And the next day, the host brought the newspapers and came. All the Pakistani newspapers. So that time this was a very big thing. And now his bayans kept taking place all over the place. So now this was like the topic of the day everywhere. So most of those newspapers also were carrying headlines about this particular thing, about his dora that he was making and so on, and where what was said and so on and so forth. So most of the headlines were carrying this article. About 4 or 5 newspapers there. For whatever reason he brought, maybe because this was the headline, he brought it and came. So he kept it right in front, so he just glanced at it and put it one side. He says, कैसे ही किसी चीज किसी मेहनत में और सब जबरदस्त नेचर जहाँ नाम और नमूद दाखिल हो जाएगा सब बर्बाद हो जाएगा. ये सबसे बड़ी मुसीबत है किसी दीनी खिदमत में. Didn't pay any attention to that. Didn't even read that article. Put all aside, what's that? Many times you might have heard the statement, the zauq of the ulama is over. It's not something abstract, something like some idea, like a reality. But to understand it, you have to read their lives. And their instances, their waqi'at, what kind of things they did, how they did it, what was their passion for deen, what was their akhlaq, what was their tahammul, what they went through and they never reacted to it. There's one talk that Maulana Ibrahim Adam Sahib, Cape Town, gave in Joburg, that Jamiyat wants to the ulama. I think they had some kind of series one time. They were inviting one alim and the senior ulama, and to give their life experiences. They've gone through life, so to share the experiences. So he spoke about many things about how he went to India to study, what the situation was at that time, and so on. So this incident I had heard from many times, or read somewhere also. He mentioned it in a very different manner. It was his personal experience. He had gone to Pakistan while he was studying in India, so he went one time to visit Pakistan too. So when he was returning from Pakistan, or rather, it wasn't his personal experience, his Ustad's experience. The Ustad had mentioned this to them in the Dars. Took the name of the Ustad, Maulana Khan Sahab or somebody, I can't remember. So he had been coming back from Pakistan. At the station, one person is there, old haggard person, and very down and out. I feel like a hobo or somebody there. The person is saying, कोई हिंदुस्तान जा रहा है, is asking repeatedly, कोई मौलाना मदनी को जानते हैं? And he was from the Deoband, started teaching in Deoband, Madni was in Deoband. So he came there, he said, yes, somebody lost in the world, he's shouting, hey, now in one station somewhere, I want to know who's going to Deoband. Like somebody standing in Deoband airport somewhere and he's asking, anybody going to London? And he knows so-and-so in London. Ajeeb baat hai, somebody in the middle of nowhere in the world. This person now is just shouting that. So in any case, he went, he said, I'm from Deoband. आप बंदी को जानते हो? She said, खुदा के वास्ते उनसे कहो मुझे माफ कर दो. क्या किस्सा है? What happened? He said, I was among those, now that political situation that has become in India, Congress and Muslim League. So now those who were at the top, their hearts were clean and clear. They had a certain viewpoint in the light of what they understood to be the better thing for the Muslims. So each one had their point, so they were clear on the top. But unfortunately, always what happens lower down, that's taken in a different manner. So this became a very, very serious political situation. And there were times when Madin Abdullah Ali was giving a bayan in some jalsa on these issues, and those who are the opposite view, Muslims, they surrounded the place, started stoning the whole jalsa. With much difficulty, he was saved from there, taken off. So in any case, this was also the kind of thing that were happening. So one day, this person now, he said, खुदा के वास्ते उनसे कहो, खुदा के वास्ते मुझे माफ कर दे. क्या हुआ? He said, I was on the train on which he was traveling, and we realized it's him. Now they were part of the Muslim League, and now he was supporting the Congress party. He says, we realized that it's him, he's traveling on this train. So together with several others, we went and we surrounded him. He says, he took his hat out and threw it on the floor and did what not. He says, to humiliate him, I started dancing naked in front of him. Ever since, my life has been in the worst turmoil that you can ever imagine. I cannot explain to you. I've lost everybody, lost everything. This is where I live in the middle of nowhere. And I am 100% convinced that till he doesn't, I don't formally ask him for maaf, nothing's going to come right for me, but I can't get there. I'm stuck here on this end of the world. Can't get past the border here because I don't have any documents, nothing. So please, for Allah's sake, ask him to forgive me. So he basically, that had become like his daily wazifa there. Shouting, anybody knows anybody going to India, Deoband, anybody knows Muhammad. But the point in that was that in all that incidents, he didn't say oof. He didn't even react one bit. Now that kind of zauq is something else. Lekin bil aakhir ye bhi koi ek zauq hai. So this is the thing to be quiet from their lives, this is something which they live because the reality doesn't just stay. But imagination, ये एक हासिल करने की चीज़ है. And this is what the purpose of Sohbat is. That zauq, you get that zauq. कभी वो theory या somebody कि वो बयान माशाल्लाह ज़बरदस्त बयान कर लेंगे, लेकिन वो सुन्नत का ज़ौक़ ना हो तो फिर मस्जिद से बाहर निकलेंगे दाहिने पाँव से। लेकिन सुन्नत पर जोरदार बयान तो हो गया, सब अहादीस और आयात और तशरीहात और अक़वाल और वाक़यात और सब कुछ मस्जिद राइट से, तो ज़ौक़ कभी पैदा नहीं हुआ। That's the thing to face. That's the thing to do. And it's not something that happens in one day. Something that happens, number one, with the talab for the zauq, with the focus to acquire the zauq. And then, in that consistent manner, and submitting oneself to somebody, इससे फिर धीरे धीरे ये चीज़ें पैदा होती है। अल्लाह ताला मुझे भी नसीब करे सबको, मैं सबसे ज़्यादा मोहताज हूँ। और क्या क्या बच्चे वाले कितने बस
17-18 minutes past 9.
पता नहीं किसी के नींद के ज़ौक़ में खलल आ गए।
Saying about spending some time with Sohbat. But many times that we keep on hearing, Ali doesn't go for his 1 year, his nothing. So we have to go, but at the same time, if the person spends his time in the Sohbat or he can, and he doesn't go for Jama'at, should he feel like he's doing wrong or he's supposed to be doing how?
That if he didn't go, he did done something wrong in Ulu, but he lost out on something for sure. Can't say he did something wrong, because if he spent his time correctly, still he's right. But there's something, everything, दस्तरखान पर वो गाजर का हलवा भी रखा होता है और बिरयानी भी, कोई नहीं कहता कि अब ये सही है या वो गलत है। इसमें कौन सी बात कहेंगे कि नहीं ये ज़्यादा बेहतर है या वो ज़्यादा बेहतर है। हर एक की जहद अपनी अपनी है, दोनों ज़रूरी है। ये भी ज़ौक़ की चीज़ है, ये नहीं चखेंगे तो उसका मज़ा नहीं आएगा। The time period is a different thing, but there should be some time that a person can try and spend. whether it's now तो कहता हो साल ना हो 4 महीने ना हो तो 40 दिन भी हो, but उसको correct manner. There's something specific to achieve here, something specific to achieve there. This won't replace that and that won't replace this. दोनों की ज़रूरत है, दोनों की अहमियत है। For the awam, sometimes it's good that they think one track like that. Sometimes it's not the healthiest of things, but for some people, sometimes that's better, because then they'll do something, one thing at least properly. लेकिन आलिम को जामे होना चाहिए, बहुत अहम है। तो आवाम को कभी ऐसा ही चलाना पड़ता है, carry on, you just do one thing, carry on. But that one thing you have to do everything for him. लेकिन आलिम को जामे होना चाहिए. He can't be just so engrossed in one thing that he totally divorces everything else. That's a different issue, that the proportion of time and effort in everything can't be the same. Somebody is more dedicated in one line, somebody more dedicated in another, somebody more dedicated in the third. Because you can't be doing everything all the time at the same time. And then everybody's tarbiyyah is not the same. Somebody's tarbiyyah moves more easily in one line, somebody in another line. Everybody's capability is different. Somebody's capability is more suited for this, somebody's capability is more suited for that. But it must be jami of everything. There must be some portion of everything. Without that, there'll be some luck somewhere. But now, those on a certain level, we can't make qiyas of ourselves on them. जहाँ जान छुड़ाने की बात होती है, then we find somebody in that qiyas on. But we can't make qiyas of ourselves on. There's people of different categories. There are some that will be required to be completely engrossed in one thing only. That's not their maqam and their level. And somebody one day he got some josh in him, so he came home and he started one make Islam everybody in one day. और इसको डांट रहे हैं, उसको कुछ कह रहे हैं, और उसको क्या क्या मसला है तुम्हारा? So now he had apparently just heard about, or maybe probably spent 1 or 2 days in Hazrat Muhammad Hassan Rahmatullahi Khidmat. He was very straight on many things. कि मैं तो हजरत की तरह महाबा साहब के यहाँ में गया हूँ, मैं तो ऐसे ही करूँगा, तो सिर्फ थोड़ी सेटिंग डाउन, फिर पहले महाबा साहब बनो, फिर उनकी तरीके पर इस्लाम करो. अभी तो उनका एक वो जूते के खाक भी नहीं बने और उनकी तरह उनका तर्ज इख्तियार करना चाह रहे हैं. पहले महाबा साहब बनो, फिर आगे की बात करो. So for him that is fine. For him that was fine. It's not for everybody. Salim Dora Sahib down Barakatum was down in December. So one day while sitting with him, he was mentioning Haji Farooq Sahib Rahmatullah Alayh told him that Hazrat Ji Rahmatullah Alayh told him, Khanvi Rahmatullah Alayh told Hazrat Ji that मेरा तर्ज आपका भी मत इख्तियार करना, meaning the strong manner of how I'm making Islah and on the spot taking people to task and sorting them out same time, आप उसको मत इख्तियार करना. आप बहुत शफ़क़त से काम आपको करना पड़ेगा. So Hazrat Ji told him, ये तो हज़रत थानवी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह मुझसे फरमाया था कि आपसे कह रहा हूँ आपको मज़ीद शफ़क़त से काम करना पड़ेगा. And Sharif Sahib Haji Farooq Sahib told me कि आपको तो और भी ज़्यादा शफ़क़त करना पड़ेगा. So now somebody says नहीं, थानवी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह का तर्ज में इख्तियार करूँगा. पहले बनो. ये हजरात ऐसे थे, the barakat was of such a level that tarz was fine for them because of the barakat that they had in it. कभी ऐसे वाक़यात भी है कि किसी एक थप्पड़ लगाया, उसका सारा इस्लाह उसी में हो गया. हमें किसी को एक थप्पड़ लगाने जाएंगे तो पता नहीं हमारी इस्लाह कितनी फौरन हो जाएगी. हमको जिसमें क़यास तो शख्स के क़यास की तरह हो जाएगा. तो pull somebody out from the well, and another fellow was stuck on the palm tree, so he decided to use the same strategy. उनको भी रस्सी देगी. Follow ना किसा? The fellow fell from there and died. तकदीर है, that fellow nothing happened to him. So now this fellow he died is तकदीर. अब क्या है? ये क़यास माल फारिक का अश्म तफजील इस पर आएगा. So now we also want to just बना का ये मामला था, तो हम भी ऐसे ही है, पहले उनकी तरह बनना पड़ेगा. अवेलेबल हमें सबका जामी बनना पड़ता है, तमाम दीन की खिदमत. ऑब्वियसली समथिंग विल बी 10%, समथिंग 70%, समथिंग विल बी 15%, जो भी हो, लेकिन वी मस्ट बी पार्ट ऑफ व्हाटएवर वी कैन. Especially if a person is in a situation of being an imam of a masjid, then he must be part of everything, all the deen is, because some musalli, that's a line that he will move forward in. He has to take it forward in that line. And somebody will go forward in this line. And if he is only on one line, how is he going to take this person forward? He'll cut him off. उसको तो सब में मुअत्तद भी हिस्सा लेना पड़ेगा. जी. काफी करांगे. हमारी तो क्या बात होगी, लेकिन one two things that we learn, mashallah, this travels with because of it. Once, just towards the tail end of the time in India, now I had to come back to Surat. I was alone, and now normal तरतीब इन मशवरा से वक्त पूरा हो गया, फला तारीख पे जा रहा हो गया, और अब मोहम्मद लाख साहब नाम बरकातुम asked me, आप कब जाएंगे सूरत? So I told him I'm still going to make the booking, and so he's going to tell me, make sure we tell me beforehand which date you're booking for. I also want to be going to Surat. So he went back forth a little bit this way, that way, and each time he kept on asking me for the 2-3 days till that thing was finally confirmed. So in any case, then confirmed the train on the same train. मैं तो कुछ अंदर अंदर से कुछ खुश हो रहा था कि माशाल्लाह, नहीं तो कुछ वो बार बार मुझसे पूछ रहे तुम कब जा रहे हो, साथ साथ चलेंगे. In any case, now on the train it just happened that one third person also, like there were 2 of us, one third person also happened to coincidentally be booked on the same train. He was also going, also from Nizamuddin he was going. So 3 of us ended up on the same seat, and that coach or whatever. So he was familiar with this person from a long time. So now while we were going, he was telling him, I didn't know you also booked here. I was asking him, so many times over and over, okay, when you're going, make sure that we coincide and so on. क्योंकि फिर अगर मैं तन्हा होता तो फिर जमात की नमाज ना मिलती. अब ये सब हकीकत खुल गई कि समझ रहा था कि मैं भी कुछ हूँ, मेरे मुझे साथ करना चाह रहे. उनकी फिक्र थी जमात की नमाज. क्या तन्हा होगा तो जमात की नमाज तो नहीं मिलती, लेकिन मुझे मालूम नहीं था कि आप भी इसी में हैं. This is the kind of things that you learn from people when you travel with them, spend the time in the company. ऐसे वाक़यात तो बहुत सारे हैं, लेकिन ये भी वही बात है, वही ज़ौक़ वाली बात. There is a passion for all the amal of deen. Not something that हो गया, न हुआ तो क्या हुआ, न हुआ तो बहुत बड़ा नुकसान हो गया. That case here. One time was one masjid in Pakistan. Got there, had to walk from another masjid. Few old Pathans were in the Jamaat too. Carried on, walk, came up there. So I came into the masjid. So at first the masjid doors were closed. Outside, now it's like a courtyard. Outside also, in the roadside, now we're standing there waiting. 10 o'clock, summer, hot. Nobody's opening. Had to look for the masjid here, there, everywhere. After about half an hour, 45 minutes somehow, somebody came with some key and they opened the door. अंदर आए सब सामान वगैरह रख दिया, तालीम वगैरह आए, ज़ोहर की नमाज का वक्त आ गया. So now everybody's already in the saf. One person walks in. Now he's saying something to the masjid. He's walking this way, walking that way. Now everybody is noticing something happening here, but nobody is asking or saying anything. So in any case, after the namaz was over, one sati stood up to make the elan. As soon as he stood up to make the elan, now we didn't know this is a masjid with the ghair muqallidin over there. और ये उनका गोया के उनकी मस्जिद है. They do what the Jamaat should do. और दूसरा person was Asad bin Mutawalli or whatever he might have been. So now he is, how these people finished off here, that was his problem. So in any case, when this sati stood up for the elan, he's sitting there in the saf, so he's asking him, I never heard something like before or after. अब तक पता नहीं कौन सी किताब में मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा. आज की मजबूक के तवस्सुल और तफस्सुल का क्या हुक्म है. अब खुदा जाने वो कोई मसला ऐसा है भी कि या नहीं. That person invited to me से इनको बता हमने कभी ऐसा न सुना न कुछ. So he's asking me क्या है हुक्म. all of a sudden we were sitting there in the sun. क्या हुक्म इसका. सही है मैंने मुझे मालूम, इसलिए अगर मालूम ना हो तो कोई बयान नहीं होगा. What is it? You can find after sunnats, so nobody gave any bayan. Everybody went away after a while. He remained sitting. Now he was gone. फिर सब तालीम वगैरह जो भी करना करते रहे. अब फिर असर आया तो वो फिर मौजूद. अमीन साहब ने इसमें इशारा जब कुछ बैठ तो उसको सब चले गए. फिर कुछ वो न गश हुआ न बयान हुआ. Now finally Isha came in. Nobody is saying anything that don't be there. Whatever reason now, I don't know, whatever it was now, they didn't have the heart to now give the marching orders. But now, after Isha, the Muslim suddenly, as everybody left now, gone, he came by the door now, the double wooden doors. He closed one. He's standing by the other one and says, 5 minutes में मैं इसको बंद कर रहा हूँ, कोई अंदर रह गए तो बंद हो जाएगा, जल्दी निकलो. इशारा जल्दी सवाल निकाल के मांगो. After Isha, summer Isha is 9:15, 9:30, whatever time it was. Called someone out. He locked the door, went away. So, क्या करें, सोएंगे आसमान के नीचे सोएंगे. गर्मी का ज़माना है, कोई बस पूरे बिस्तर outside सो गए. The first time I realized how many stars in the sky. So now you look up, you see only the stars. यहाँ तो बहुत सारी बिजलियाँ नजर आ रही है. Clear night. Then you realize on your heart is sometimes the person was dreaming of 6 stars. वो हकीकत है 6 stars. Honestly. फिर दूसरे दिन दूसरे मस्जिद में चले गए थे. लेकिन go through these things in good. Learn how to work pass on this. दूसरी जगहों में सब मौला साहब और हजरत और फला और क्या, इसमें हम मैदान में आकर के सब बराबर. और ये बहुत ज़रूरी है, बहुत अहम है. One आदिम had come once from Pakistan. He gave the ulama bayan. One istima was in Phoenix. It's fine road. The ulama bayan. He gave the talk there. In that talk he mentioned, so now about 3 years back, 4 years back, in that talk he mentioned, Salimullah Khan Sahab, until maybe 20-25 years prior to that, at that time now he was very elderly too and so on. It was his regular habit that he would go for chilla very, very quietly in a jamaat that nobody knows who's he. Once in a while he would, maybe not necessarily every year, but once it happened that there were some very important documents to have signed, and urgently. So now few people only knew what's going on here. So somehow because of the importance of this, whoever had knowledge of what's going on, and they told him, okay, you go to Karachi Markaz, and from there they tell you where he is. Now Karachi Markaz only somebody knew about it, not everybody. That somebody had to now very, very quietly send some rehbar with him, but which Jamaat will find him in, where. So came to one rural area. There was a time of the day when now, whatever was happening, some people were sitting with the amal and so on. So came outside the masjid, was like a small shanty or something. He was busy making the khidmat, preparing the meal. When we saw him now, he is the principal of the madrasa. He got a shock. खबरदार किसी को कुछ कहा तो मैं अपने लिए करता हूँ. शायद तो ऐसे चुपचाप आगे जाओ, किसी को खबरदार कुछ कहा तो. इसे also already teaching Bukhari Sharif for Allah how many years. और उस मकाम के from time to time regularly up to that 20-25 years previous to that. Last 20-25 years maybe the silsila didn't carry on, but this was that person's first hand account of what's. तो ये लोग कुछ महसूस कर रहे थे कि इसमें कोई ज़रूरत है अवैसला, जहाँ कोई न जानता है न कोई हजरत हसरत कुछ भी नहीं, और बस बहुत कुछ इसमें हासिल होता है. उमर रज़ियल्लाहु ताला अन्हु giving water to the people in public, Somebody asked him, "Ye kya Amirul Mu'mineen, you come and drink water?" That was like a suqqa's job was like a menial task. All this food came one after the other. दिल में कुछ महसूस हुआ, अपना इलाज कर रहा हो, ऐसे लोगों को इलाज की जरूरत महसूस हुई. Allah comes on the minbar, stands up, and he says that I used to graze the camels of certain person. Comes out. Amir al-Mu'mineen comes on the minbar. كنت أرعى إبل بالبادية. فلان. अजीब बात है, इसमें क्या? Somebody asked him, ये क्या मसला है? दिल में कुछ बात आई थी, all this, इसका इलाज कर रहा था. Don't forget where you were. तुम कुछ नहीं हो. So ये वो ज़ौक़ का मसला है.
अल्लाह अल्लाह कैसा प्यारा नाम है, आशिकों का मीना और जाम है.